Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 4. So for today, we are going to have a meeting about Sharia contract regarding investment account. So let's join our meeting. Hi, I'm Aisha.
I'm Najwa.
I am Husna.
I am Anis.
I'm Amira.
I am Azahara.
So this meeting will be divided into 7 parts. Let's start with the first part, which is introduction. As we all know, Islamic banking is any financial institution that collects funds and uses them in accordance with Quran and Hadith. The Islamic law of transaction prohibits riba, gharar, and maisir. As a form of compensation, deposits are accepted by Islamic banks without interest rate, and they utilize this deposit in areas permitted by Islamic law using legitimate methods. Moving on. The next part is regarding Islamic banking product. The legitimate methods mentioned before is Mudarabah contract, which is a capital work partnership in which one party acts as an entrepreneur or mudarib for the venture, while the other party is responsible for contributing cash and acting as a sleeping partner. The inclusion of profit sharing and investment activities make Mudarabah contract ideal for replacing interest-based deposit. There are two types of Mudarabah investment account, which is restricted and unrestricted. Moving on. The differences between the two is, for unrestricted, the investment account holder authorized Bank Islam to invest in the account funds in the manner where Islamic bank deems appropriate. Meanwhile, for restricted, the investment account holder imposed the Bank Islam certain restriction as to where, how, and for what purposes his funds are to be invested. Next, I'll pass to Cik Husna to continue the presentation.
Alright, thank you, Aisha. Okay, so generally under Mudarabah investment account, the profit will be divided among the partners. The profit sharings are depending on the financial performance of the banks. There are two examples of Mudarabah product, which is Mudarabah General Investment Account (MGIA) and Mudarabah Special Investment Account (MSIA). Next. For MGIA, no minimum tenure of investment is required, and the investment will not be unique. The mudarib has a broad range of trade of business freedom based on trust and the business expertise he or she has acquired. For MSIA, the main departure between this account and general investment account is in the special form. The Rabumal will be advised on where the funds will be invested, what is the minimum amount that they can invest in the project return, and what is the loyalty risk that comes with it. Next, I will pass the next presentation to Najwa.
Thank you, Husna. I will explain more regarding application of Mudarabah in Maybank. First, application of Mudarabah in Maybank is unrestricted investment account. They have two, which is General Investment Account (GIAI) and Special Investment Account (SIAI). For the GIAI, the investment is tied to the performance of the underlying asset, and the principal and return are not guaranteed by the bank. For SIAI, the investment allows investors to make short-term placement with the bank based on Sharia-compliant investment concept of Mudarabah. For GIAI, the fund will be invested in a blended portfolio of the bank asset. This is a low to moderate risk investment to achieve capital preservation and steady return, while for SIA, the bank on investor behalf will make a wise choices in selecting Sharia high-yielding, compliant investment avenues to invest investor funds. Next. Okay, here is the fund performance on the asset allocation. For GIAI, the type of asset is retail financing and non-retail financing. And here we can see that the greater the time, the greater the profit ratio accordingly from invested account holder and bank. Next. For CIMB Bank, we have the term investment account I, TIAI, and special mudarabah investment account I, SMIAI, under unrestricted investment account. So the investment objective for TIAI is to generate stable returns while preserving the capital over an agreed investment period through low to moderate risk exposure, while SMIAI, the objective is the investment portfolio to have capital preservation and financial security on the investment. The investment also aims to provide steady return that is low risk to the account holder. For the strategy TIA, the fund will be invested in a diversified asset portfolio that generates stable return with low to moderate risk, while SMIAI fund is invested in the low risk investment asset, which is flexi home financing and flexi business premise. Next, for TIA, we can see the actual rate of return here. It varies from period to period, and the asset allocation for the TIA is composition of retail financing asset and cash. Next, for special mudarabah investment, we can see the analysis of fund performance and asset valuation. The profit sharing ratio based on account holder 5% and bank is 95%. Next. For CIMB, they have discloses the restricted mudarabah, which is mudarabah muqayyadah, which imposes specific restriction on the mudarabah, such as determination of location, period, type of project of the fund. Here is the operation of Islamic Banking CIMB that disclose restricted investment account. Next. For Bank Islam, we have unrestricted investment account iGain and special investment account mudarabah. iGain provide opportunity to investment account holder with a combination of steady and recurring income, while at the same time allowing the balance to be placed and withdrawn via over-the-counter transaction, check, internet banking, and etc. While as special investment, Bank Islam will manage the capital provided by the investor through investment activities as it deems fit with no participation required from the investor to provide regular income over retail financial asset. For iGain strategy, where the fund is categorized as a low-risk investment, the fund will be invested in the house fixed asset portfolio of the bank to generate stable income, while special investment is to ensure investment is within the investment objective of the fund with its asset allocation safeguarding with the investment portfolio. Next. Here is the profit ratio for iGain and the special investment account, different disclosure. For Bank Islam, restricted investment account is under wakalah. Next. I will pass the presentation to Anis.
Thank you, Najwa. Now I will explain on the bank's product disclosure sheet in terms of content and accessibility. Basically, the aim of the product disclosure sheet is to help consumers make informed decisions when purchasing a financial product based on a clear understanding of the main features and the risks of the product. It is also intended to enable consumers to compare products and services offered by the FSPs when shopping for a financial product or service. Consistency in disclosing essential information is aimed at minimizing the misselling of financial products to avoid gharar. Next. Therefore, we make a comparison on evaluation of information disclosed In product disclosure sheet for the three major commercial bank in Malaysia, which are Maybank Islamic Berhad, CIMB, and Bank Islam. Here we can see that the information delivered by the financial service provider to the customer in the investment financing PDS seem quite similar based on the three banks. All banks clearly state in their PDS on product information such as name of the product, explanation of product, Sharia contract applicable, and definition of the Sharia contract. The three banks also disclose the product suitability, the key product features, and possible outcome of the investment and the risk disclosure statement. However, Maybank and CIMB did not provide the information on the bank charges for one of their products. So this will affect the customer decision making since they need to spend more time to search it on the bank website or directly go to the branches to know the absolute amount that they will incur if they invest in that product. Next. Okay, according to the table, we can see that the Bank Islam highly disclosed the information of Islamic investment financing product as published in the product disclosure sheet, followed by CIMB and Maybank. Maybank has not published the PDS in the bank website on one of the product, which is special investment account. Therefore, the PDS of special investment account could not be examined by the customer. Although Maybank is in the top ranking of Islamic commercial bank in Malaysia and Asia, Maybank did not show the best practice in terms of providing information regarding investment financing. So based on our observation, we can say that each of the three banks tends to show lack of information disclosure even within the bank itself. Now I will pass to Husna to continue the presentation.
Right, thank you, Anis. Next, moving on to the benefits of product disclosure sheet to customers. There are three major benefits, which are the first one is making it easier for the customer to make a comparison. A PDS should be drafted in a way that makes it easier for the consumers to compare the issuer's financial product with other financial products. Next. The important information should catch the consumer attention. Issues such as the size of typeface, layout, the use of color, the use of graphic, the order in which information is presented, and the location and boldness of information are all relevant to whether a consumer's attention is likely to be drawn to the information they most need. Next. The last one is personalized information. The PDS should contain information that has been personalized for the consumer. This principle is more likely to be relevant where a product disclosure sheet is prepared for a particular individual rather than a larger group. An insurance policy or an interactive PDS are examples where personalized information could be included. Next, I will pass to Azhara.
Thank you, Chesna. So let's move to the compliances to the Bank Negara Malaysia's requirement. There are certain paragraphs being issued by the Bank Negara Malaysia regarding the requirements and the guidelines on how the investment account should be presented. This is actually to ensure the stakeholders to interpret and well understand the flow, the performance, and the return on investment as well. So, para 10.5 of Bank Negara requirements shows that the IFI shall present the carrying amount and income and expenses related to Islamic deposit and investment account in separate line items and its financial statements and consolidated financial statements. We can see these are the example that extract from Maybank Islamic annual report where it actually shows Maybank recognize its investment accounts in carrying value after they take into account of any new placement being made by the investor, redemption, and the profit payable during the year. Next. para 11.13, where the IFI shall disclose the following information: investment accounts of customer, with a breakdown by types of investment accounts, such as unrestricted and restricted, and further breakdown by Sharia contracts. As they also shall disclose the carrying amounts of investment accounts which qualify as unlisted capital markets products under the Capital Markets and Services. This Maybank Islamic said to meet the requirements since it's disclosed those types of investment accounts in their annual report. Next. Para 11.13b, 2 types of customers. So this para required to disclose those types of customers as the source that they gain for the investment account. This is in order to ensure that for the stakeholders to know who are the other investors. So as referred to this Maybank, basically from the investment is basically from the business enterprise, individuals, government, and others. So next. Para 11.13b require the IFI to disclose the maturity structures of investment account with maturity for each investment. Next. Para 11.14, where it shall disclose income and expenses with a breakdown by source of funds. These are the example of income statement by Maybank, where it disclose the income derived from investment as well as the profit distributed to the investment account holder. Next. These are the breakdowns of the income derived from the investment. Next. So we move to CIMB Bank. So it said CIMB Bank meet the requirement for para 10.5, where it disclose the investment accounts in the carrying value. Next. CIMB Bank also meets the requirement for para 11.13, where it disclose all types of investment accounts. Next. And CIMB Bank also meet the requirements for para 11.13, where it shall disclose the type of customer. However, there were no disclosure was made by CIMB Bank regarding the maturity structures of investment accounts. Next, I will pass the presentation to Amir.
Thank you, Azara. Para 11.13c states that an Islamic financial institution should disclose the following information: C. Investment account due to designated financial institutions with a breakdown by first, types of investment account and further breakdown by Sharia contracts, and second, types of counterparty, for example, licensed Islamic banks and licensed banks. The picture below shows that CIMB has disclosed all the required information about the investment account due to designated financial institutions. Firstly, the types of investment account is restricted investment accounts, which is mudharabah. Secondly, the types of counterparty is licensed banks. Next. As Zahara has explained about the para 11.14 before, CIMB complies with the requirements. The picture shows that the statement of income of CIMB, where it discloses the income derived from investment of investment account, also the profit distributed to investment account holder, and the details about these two items are explained further in the notes to the financial statements in the next slides. So this is the details about the items before. Next. Now we will see whether Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad BIMB is complies with the BNM requirements or not. As explained by Azhara earlier, para 10.5 states that the Islamic financial institution shall present the carrying amount in separate line items. The picture shows that BIMB has presented the carrying amount of investment accounts of customers in statement of financial position, and it is separated under the group and the company. Next. For para 11.13, it shows that BIMB complies with the requirements as it discloses the types of investment accounts which are unrestricted that has mudarabah and wakalah, and restricted investment accounts that has wakalah under it. Next. BIMB also discloses the types of customers, which are government and statutory bodies, business enterprises, individuals, non-bank financial institutions, international Islamic bank, and others. Next. BIMB also discloses the maturity structures of investment account with maturity in the notes to the financial statements number 19 as shown in the picture. Next. BIMB complies with the para 11.14 as it discloses information needed in the income statement, which are the income derived from investment account funds, wakalah fees from restricted investment accounts, and income distributable to investment account holders. The details of those amounts are shown in the notes to the financial statements in the next slide. So these are the details about the amounts. So in conclusion, with the information disclosed by Maybank, CIMB, and BIMB, stakeholders are able to understand that the Islamic banks apply mudarabah and wakalah for the investment accounts products. All the banks comply with the BNM requirements except for CIMB that does not disclose the maturity structures of investment account with maturity. Hence, this will make the stakeholders be more confident to invest in Islamic banks. That's all from me. Now, I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Amira. As for the conclusion, overall, Islamic banking in Malaysia has adopted mudarabah investment concept in their variety of product, but all the products have differences and uniqueness. However, there are also improvements that need to be done regarding the product and disclosure of the bank. As a leading country in Islamic banking, the content and accessibility of product disclosure should be enhanced. It is safe to say that all the banks comply thoroughly the requirements of Bank Negara. That's all from us. Thank you for listening.